What's going on, everyone? Meteorologist Mike Linden coming at you live from the MyRadar studio here in Orlando, Florida. How about it, right? I mean, the end of the month of August. What a summer it has been. We've got a lot to talk about in today's show, but we begin with Hurricane Ida. Well, I guess I should say Tropical Depression Ida as it stands right now. Looking at the MyRadar app, we can zoom on in to what is left of Ida as it stands now. No central kind of structure and shape, generally to what we saw a few days ago when this was a Category 4 over the Gulf of Mexico. But we tap on Ida, we can see the latest information from the National Hurricane Center. Roughly 25 mile per hour maximum sustained winds, so that is a big step down from the 150 mile per hour maximum sustained winds when this thing was making landfall. But you can look at the aftermath of Ida. Folks in southeastern Louisiana still left picking up the pieces, and over 1 million people still, 1 million customers, I should say, still without power across southeastern Louisiana. It has been a mess. But of course, MyRadar storm chaser Aaron Jack has been on the ground in the bayou in the days leading up to Ida making landfall, and of course, what was to follow Ida with the aftermath of a historic storm impacting Louisiana. Here's the latest from Aaron.
This is MyRadar storm chaser Aaron Jack along the Gulf Coast after chasing Category 4 Hurricane Ida in Louisiana. And Hurricane Ida was a fierce, potent hurricane that caused lots of damage in Houma, where I first started riding the storm out at. Continued from Houma to the Matthews, Louisiana area, where I made an intercept of the eye of Hurricane Ida, measuring 941.5 millibars of barometric pressure as that pressure dropped as the eye of the hurricane came over the Matthews, Louisiana area. Now, this is a potent hurricane, a high-end Category 4 hurricane. The scenes in Houma were unreal, with sheet metal and street signs and all kinds of damage flying around. At one point, a building of something exploded and pieces of debris were raining down all around me. Relentless winds in Houma. Houma was right at the pivot point where the hurricane was moving to the northwest, and then it made its turn to the northeast, and that happened with that western eye wall. You can see some of the footage that I shot during the hurricane. Intense footage. Well, that was a crazy hurricane, major hurricane, Category 4 hurricane, Hurricane Ida. And, you know, I've been in major hurricanes before, and luckily this one was a little bit of a smaller hurricane, so the hurricane force winds, the damage from the hurricane was confined to, at least on the western side, confined to a smaller area. It didn't extend too far out west from Houma. Morgan City and beyond was pretty relatively untouched from the hurricane. But different story as you move to the east, and then obviously if you get east of the eastern eye wall, you get the flooding concerns. There's flooding in the Slidell, the eastern New Orleans area. That's where the surge piles up from that rotating hurricane, pushing all the water up on shore and causing those surge and flooding problems. And then of course you also have just the rain, tons and tons of rain on the eastern side of the hurricane. The western half of the hurricane relatively dry due to some dry air, but on the eastern side, totally different story, torrential rains, and that can cause overland flooding issues. For MyRadar, this is Storm Chaser Aaron J. Jack.
Earlier today, NOAA and the hurricane hunters released a batch of photos, aerial photos of what Louisiana now looks like following Ida making landfall. This is a photo before, near where Aaron was in Houma, Louisiana. This is after. Now, if I zoom on in here, you can see a lot of damage, especially this home right here near Robert Street. Looks to be in quite rough shape, right across from the elementary school there. That's after the fact in Houma. Let's jump to some photos here I have from Golden Meadow. This is really close to Port Fortune where this storm made landfall. In fact, another elementary school right there, Golden Meadow, lower elementary, and I advance. It looks like the elementary school did pretty well, but if I again zoom on in here, you can see a lot of these local, these smaller homes were damaged in the aftermath of this storm, and of course 150-mile-per-hour winds. I mean, you really have to try your best to be prepared for something like that. This photo really caught my eye here. This is as close as I could really get with the available data. This is again in Golden Meadow on Louisiana 1 there, LA 1. This is before. Look at this ship docked right here, okay? Pay close attention to that one. This is after. I mean, just look at the way these docks. I mean, that looks to be a boat there. A few of them, in fact, that look to be pretty worse for wear there. Just a big mess across Louisiana. But of course, we don't just have photos to share with you. We do have some viral videos to share with you. Before we get to our live guest in just a moment, we begin with our first viral video here. This is of the men and women that are perhaps some of the bravest folks in aviation flying into some of the worst Mother Nature has to offer. This one, of course, comes to us from the hurricane hunters. Now, the stadium effect of the eye of Ida was on display. This video is going all sorts of viral. If we can skip ahead to where we can see the stadium effect in the eye there, it's toward the back end of the video there, Matt. I mean, but it is so truly impressive to look out the window there and just to see it cascading above your head. If you've ever been on the 50-yard line of a football field in a baseball stadium on the pitcher's mound and you look up toward the stands, that's essentially what the stadium effect is describing to you, just looking and seeing nothing but convection all around you, 360 degrees. I mean, just look at that video there. But let's go a little better. Let's go to space. Let's go higher up. Big shout out to Go16 looking down on the Gulf of Mexico and catching Ida at landfall. And if you look really closely there, when this loop plays there, you can see the stadium effect on display. Truly, truly neat to see. Next, let's jump to our live tower cameras. Again, before we get to our live guest who is standing by, we begin in Orlando, Florida. This is right above my head as we speak right now. This is overlooking downtown Orlando off toward the east. You know, if there were a launch down at Cape Canaveral, we might even be able to see a little bit of it. No such launch to show you as of now. And then let's now look toward the south here. We got the Amway Center there on the right. It's where the Orlando Magic play. Beautiful here over Orlando, Florida, but not so much as we work our way into these next few cameras here. Let's jump over to Blue Ridge, Georgia. This camera comes to us courtesy of our partners from WeatherStem. Usually this is a beautiful camera for me to show you, but Blue Ridge not dealing with pleasant weather right now, and these are the outer bands of Ida as they work their way northward, going to cause some big-time headaches for the Mid-Atlantic here in the coming days. And then finally, we got two more rather. Let's jump over to the Bluegrass State, my old stomping grounds. Let's take a look here at the Maker's Mark Warehouse in Marion County, Kentucky. You know, for us meteorologists, looking up at the clouds, this is the good stuff, but for the folks here that are seeing this camera from Maker's Mark Warehouse, they're like, well, this isn't the good stuff, show us the good stuff. Hey, well, nothing to show you just right now. It is pretty overcast in Kentucky. And then finally, let's round things out in Frederick County, Maryland, because this is what is going to bring us to our next story as we work our way into Hump Day. Yet another pea soupy kind of look here from the AstraZeneca tower camera there in Frederick County, Maryland. But this is all leading into a day tomorrow that the Storm Prediction Center is calling for an enhanced risk for severe weather. We're talking a 3 out of 5 on the scale from the Storm Prediction Center. And for the latest on that risk category, we are going to bring in meteorologist Matt Capucci live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. Matt, how are you today? Hey, you know, I feel like I have not slept at all. I feel like I'm just trapped in this time warp. I don't know what day or time it is, but we progress. we keep moving forward as best we can.
Oh, that we do. I can tell you I've got about 2.5 hours of sleep since, what day is today? Since pretty much the weekend, and that's about it. But we're tracking the storms. I know you're doing the same thing down there, and we will be with Ida until it finally exits out to sea.
Right, but now as we work our way into Hump Day, it looks to be some pretty nasty weather up near your neck of the woods here in the midst of the summer season as we head into the start of meteorological fall with severe weather.
Yeah, that there does. We're talking a dual threat of severe weather and flooding rains across the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast tomorrow. I think you folks can see my screen right now. There's a look at the satellite shot right now, and we can see, obviously, the big swirl associated with Ida. But notice, it's getting a little elongated. It looks kind of more of a north to south type oval at this point. It's no longer that crisp concentric ring that we had the other day as was in the Gulf of Mexico. And that's because it's going from a tropical system to kind of a mid-latitude system. It's going from what we call barotropic to baroclinic. And as a result, it's starting to develop fronts, and that will bolster the risk of severe weather. Already, you can see it's dragging down a nice, cool, crisp air mass on the backside with nice, dry air working in. The way we can know it's dry is just based on the satellite shot. Obviously, there are fewer clouds. But look right over here, if we can. Here's one thunderstorm in southeastern Oklahoma. I think that's near McAllister. But that little tiny line right there, that's an outflow boundary, leading edge of cool, dry air ahead of a storm. And so obviously we know there's dry air to work with, but this whole thing is moving eastwards. Now, this dry air is strengthening this line right here. This is our new cold front, our acting cold front. Over here, we have a warm front. So the warm front right now is lifting through the Carolinas into southern Virginia towards the Tidewater, pushing north towards the Mid-Atlantic. It'll cross through later on tonight. This area in between the warm front and the cold front, little area right over here, we call that the warm sector, and that's where the juicy air ahead of Ida is, ahead of that cold front, and that will set the stage for severe weather. Now, I want to show you a couple things we can show you right now. Let's show you, we'll start off with dew point. So you can see, okay? Look at the moisture just surging tonight. Values right around 72, 73 degrees. That's how much moisture is in the air. That's how you know it's soupy outside. Of course, you're down in Florida. Folks down there feel that when the dew point gets really warm like that.
The air you can wear, Matt.
Oh, it's sweaty air is what I always joke. But so tomorrow morning, we'll start off. Overnight tonight, couple showers along that warm front. You can kind of see, here's the warm sector. Here's that warm front right here moving towards Mason-Dixon line right around midnight, 1, 2 a.m. And look, already overnight, we develop a couple storms near like D.C. heading towards Baltimore, eventually towards the Delmarva Peninsula. These storms could actually rotate. They get a bit of twist along that warm front. Warm fronts are kind of sketchy in the meteorological community. We get a little bit sketched out when there's a warm front and storms overnight because, look, they lift north and they're little tiny isolated storms, 1 or 2 lone discrete supercells that could rotate overnight. Now, that moves through. Then the heavy rain works in over the west, the Blue Ridge, Interstate 81, up and down the 95, well, west of the 95 corridor, up and down the Appalachians into southern Pennsylvania. So they're raining to beat the band. Eastern areas are probably clearing out a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if like D.C., Baltimore, Richmond, they get some sunshine tomorrow. Then we start looking at what happens in the afternoon, because I want to show you if we can back up one model that has a longer range. Look, here we're just before lunchtime. Then all of a sudden, as the heavy rain moves into southern Pennsylvania, and we're talking rainfall rates an inch plus per hour, leading to totals around 4, 5, 6 inches. As that happens, look, more storms start to shift eastwards. These could be the ones that spin and produce damaging winds and tornadoes. They start to shift east towards New Jersey, Delmarva Peninsula, and a second wind develops afterwards. And these could race towards New York City overnight tomorrow night, and a really messy morning early Thursday across southern New England, Cape Cod, Connecticut, parts of Long Island too. Things clear out by Thursday. Now, in terms of specific threats, we have a lot of spin in the atmosphere. I want to show you just how much spin we have. Helicity, low-level spin, is really maximized in this little bullseye north of D.C., Philadelphia, eventually Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Those areas could see a decent round of a couple tornadoes, and these are quick-hitting tropical ones. You won't really see them or hear them coming. Reminds me a bit of the setup back in 2004, September 2004, with Hurricane Ivan, which dropped 58 tornadoes. Obviously, no way to guarantee a prolific day, but the ingredients are there to get some tornadoes, so likely to see tornado watches issued tomorrow, and it will be a high-end event with rainfall. We'll show you one last look at the rainfall, how much we can expect. Look how much could come down. We're talking rainfall about 4, 5, 6 inches. Bullseye in southern PA, 6 to 8 inches when all is said and done. So, Mike, a very high-impact day. No matter where you are, we can talk either heavy rainfall, river flooding, or that chance of a couple tornadoes.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a mixed bag of some pretty nasty weather, but I'm glad that you really hit on the rainfall there. The excessive rainfall outlook heading into tomorrow is at a high risk. So as you touched on with the numbers there, the Storm Prediction Center, the National Weather Service, certainly keying in on the fact that it looks to be quite a bit of rain for quite a few million people, might I add, Matt. 11 million under an enhanced risk, 17 under a slight risk, 28 million under a marginal risk. So before we say goodbye, let me know what your plan is here. Where are you going to head to in order to chase these storms tomorrow?
So I think, assuming I'm chasing, I'll be probably near or northeast of Washington, D.C., right along Route 50 between D.C. and Annapolis. And I can show you on a map where that is. I agree with the storms going to be close enough to the warm front to get some rotating storms in the afternoon. Might set up just to our north. So somewhere in this area right over here, I may head towards the bay, because this time of year, if you have southerly winds heading up the bay, there's less friction over the water. The winds can accelerate a little bit faster. That enhances low-level spin and bolsters the risk of tornadoes, while also adding moisture to the air, getting those cloud bases lower, and strengthening that risk of a tornado even more. So really, I think this zone over here will be the greatest risk of tornadoes. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes even into perhaps the eastern shore of Maryland or even parts of Delaware. So tomorrow's the day we don't see all that often in the Mid-Atlantic region. It's one that folks are going to have to pay attention to. And in this area, I think folks aren't used to tornadoes. So I'm hoping people have a plan, know what to do, have a way to get notified, download the MyRadar app, obviously, so they can get weather alerts for their location, and ultimately, if warnings are issued, they take actions to keep themselves safe.
Anytime, anywhere, any place, those tornadoes, of course, can occur. Meteorologist Matt Capucci, live from Washington, D.C. Matt, thank you so much. We look forward to your coverage tomorrow. Best of luck, and of course, stay safe. We'll be chatting more tomorrow.
Thank you.
Catch you later. All right, there's Matt Capucci. All right, so let's jump over and take a look at some just more graphics that I have prepared for you as we round things out. Now, one thing I want to show you here, one thing that meteorologist Matt Capucci there touched on was the rainfall amounts that are working their way northward into the mid-Atlantic. This is a look at the last 48 hours. I mean, that is just a significant amount of rainfall, of course, coming in from a Category 4 hurricane. But notice those scars of rain as they work their way northward there. Pockets of seemingly 3 to near 7 inches of rain over a very quick period of time. So definitely something to watch out for if, of course, you happen to live where Ida is heading to next. But I want to jump into the MyRadar app before we move along here, Matt and Damien, if you guys want to grab that, because of course it wouldn't be late August, early September if we weren't talking about even more tropical activity, right? Let's take a look at what we've got out there. We've got this fish storm out there. This is Kate, a tropical depression. Call them a fish storm in the biz because, well, the only people that these storms, things I should say, mammals, these storms will be affecting, of course, will be fish, I should say. Now let's zoom out here to the east. We've got 12. This is Tropical Depression 12. This could be the next one to get a name here, folks. Definitely worth watching. This was the area that we were keying in on yesterday that was upwards of 80-90% tropical development. It has now given the Tropical Depression 12 name there. That will soon be the next one. And then if we go back to see what Ida is up to, well, again, that is expected to work its way northward through the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys, bringing with it a lot of rain, passing through the mid-Atlantic region, as meteorologist Matt Capucci was just talking about there, as we head into the middle of the work week, before maybe even picking up a little bit of juice here off the coastline of Long Island before pushing northward as we work our way toward the upcoming weekend. So let's jump back into the graphics here and take a look at the last 24 hours on the satellite radar. Of course, it's not hard to find what is the biggest weather maker over the past 24 hours. That, of course, is Hurricane Ida. Now, I want to show you, just look at this 24-hour loop here. Just watch as that western side of this storm seemingly gets shaved away as you begin to really see Ida losing its tropical characteristics. Not to mention, look at that cold front diving in from the northern tier of the United States. Some stronger storms pushing through spots like Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska yesterday. But of course, Ida really stealing the headlines as we worked our way through the day yesterday. Of course, as we just spoke about, an enhanced risk for severe storms in effect for this orange color that does cover almost the entire state of Delaware, southern New Jersey, a small portion of southeastern Pennsylvania, almost all of Maryland, and just a small corridor here of Virginia, but that does include the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. Likely going to be seeing quite a bit of tornadic activity out there tomorrow, but as we just spoke to meteorologist Matt Capucci, very, very limited in their lifespan in terms of being on the ground. But really what you got to watch out for tomorrow, those strong winds as well as the potential for some big-time flooding. We're talking localized flash flooding events from 6 to near 8 inches of rainfall over a very quick period of time. Here's how it breaks down on the surface map. Again, watch as this advances all the way up toward the northeast there. Let me bring it back to the beginning here. But we'll start you out in advance. Watch again as Ida works its way northward, bringing with it, again, along that whole cold front there, some nasty storms as they push through the nation's capital as we work our way into, again, the middle of the work week. It's not hard to find, again, where things are going to be messy. A good 5 to 7 inches of rain pushing across southern and southeastern Pennsylvania through New York City and up and into Connecticut there. Again, certainly something, if you do have to be out on the roads, to be mindful of as we head into the next 72 hours, because even though this is going to be a severe weather event for the mid-Atlantic tomorrow, as Ida continues to work its way northward, it's still going to be messy, at least for the next day or so, as that really begins to exit the Atlantic seaboard. We spoke with Matt not too long ago here before about the potential for supercell thunderstorms developing. And watch this. I'm going to pause it for you. Look at the time there. 3:30 in the afternoon when we begin to see supercell thunderstorm development possible. And then just a little bit after that, as we head into 6:30 in the evening, we're talking the prime heating of the day here, folks. Right over the city of brotherly love there. Could be looking at some nasty thunderstorms popping up, some big boomers sticking around as we head through Wednesday evening and into early Wednesday morning, possibly even for the Big Apple and Long Island. If you're looking for any kind of relief from your temperatures, well, if you want that summer heat to end for the folks that live in the eastern half of the United States, some cooler weather on the way for the next 6 to 10 days. But unfortunately, that dome of heat continues to remain over the western United States. Of course, wildfire season is in full effect. And for the folks that live in the Pacific Northwest and in California, for the next 6 to 10 days, it is certainly going to continue to stay rather hot. The key here will be what happens with the winds as we work our way into the next few days. Temperature-wise, back into the mid to high 60s and low 70s across most of the Northeast. How about Michigan back into the mid to high 70s? Not too bad for the mitten. Across the mid-central United States, again, you can really see a big split on our temperatures when you see the cooler air coming in from the north and that tropical air coming in from Ida. 87 in Memphis, but then look off toward Lexington, 77 degrees out ahead of that in the Bluegrass State. The southeastern U.S., it is going to be humid, folks. Not much of an escape from that. In the mid to high 80s, low 90s, it is going to be hot as we work our way back west toward New Orleans, Shreveport, Houston, the mid to low 90s, 95, woo, in Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the heart of the United States, 99 in Oklahoma City, 83 for the mile-high city of Denver, 88 in El Paso. If we look toward the western United States, again, warmer than normal temperatures. Palm Springs and Vegas, 99 degrees. Yuma, 101. We've got the triple digit there, folks. 96 in Phoenix, Arizona. And then as we look toward the northern tier of the United States and the Pacific Northwest, some of the cooler spots out there, 67 degrees in Fargo. But of course, as we always say, we did not need to know the temperature to know that it was cool in Fargo. Now, before we say goodbye, I've got a special surprise for you. Of course, you may have seen her on MyRadar's coverage over these past couple of days, just getting thrown into the fire, if you will, with coverage of Hurricane Ida. Of course, I'm talking about the newest member of the MyRadar weather team, meteorologist Erica Lopez. We figured we would show you this video so that way you can learn a little bit more about Erica.
Hey everyone, my name is Erica Lopez. I'm the newest meteorologist with the MyRadar weather team. I'm so excited to be here, and here are a few things to learn more about me. I'm originally from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but I grew up in a small town just a little bit south of Dallas, about 45 minutes, called Ennis. Growing up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that area is very known for severe weather. So when I was little, I would watch the news with my mom, and my favorite segment was always to watch the meteorologist on air. And it was actually on the Spanish station. So watching the coverage for severe weather and even watching it right outside my door, it was just always an interest of mine. Since I've moved around a lot, I've grown to love every little piece of all kinds of weather. I was out west, where I grew to love how to do marine layer forecasting, which is one of the most complicated forecasts you could ever do. You really just have to watch the clouds almost every day just to figure out what the forecast is going to be out west. And then when I moved to the southeast, it's a little bit more of the daytime thunderstorms. You can't really predict those as they're really hard, but just watching the storms and getting to learn the patterns of all different kinds of parts of the country. And then more recently, I've been into hurricanes. I wasn't really into hurricanes because more of my focus when I went to school was severe weather. So that really learning more about how to forecast for hurricanes and watching some of the experts forecasts, that really has grown my love for hurricane and tropical forecasting. My favorite food. I love so much kind of food, but I'm from Texas and we're very big on barbecue. So any chance I get anywhere I moved, I always look for barbecue places. In my free time, I really have recently gotten into running. I really love being outside, especially when it's sunny outside. I don't know why. I know it's probably the worst time to go running in, but I just love sweating. I love feeling the sun and getting outside and just running, and really just think about, decompress from the day. It really helps me. Honestly, my favorite vacation spot recently has been Florida. I've been coming down here a lot, so being out in the Florida beaches has been some of my favorite places to be. Oh, I'm so excited to begin doing some forecasting in Spanish, since that's the primary reason I started my career in weather, was to be able to do forecasts and be able to reach out to communities who maybe don't have forecasts that they can access to easily, or maybe aren't watching TV constantly. I think this is a great opportunity to reach the people who maybe are watching forecasts on their phone, as today's technology is very advanced. I'm very excited to be part of the Spanish part of the forecasting that we're going to do here at MyRadar. Hey y'all, thanks for watching, and I can't wait to get started on your forecast. I hope you all have a great day.
And we are so excited for Erica to join the team. Be sure to follow her across all of our social media platforms. Of course, you know already, at MyRadar and at MyRadarWX, but of course introducing at MyRadarES across Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. Spanish-only content there coming soon from Erica. And then as soon as we wrap up this live stream, I will be posting that video again. That way, you want to learn all of the great things that Erica has to offer that she's bringing to the team. And of course, we will also be posting a Spanish version of that exact same video. If you want to play them side by side, try and improve your Spanish speaking, hey, give it a shot. But we are so excited, of course, to have Erica here on the team. And hey, hurricane season rolls on. Before we go, of course, you can get yourself a MyRadar t-shirt. And of course, it is all for a good cause. A portion of every single t-shirt that we sell, a portion of those proceeds goes to Feeding America to help provide relief for communities affected by natural disasters. We're talking food, medical supplies, anything that's needed to help these communities get back on their feet after they are devastated by natural disasters. Store.myradar.com, or you can go to myradar.com/store. Either one works, and use the promo code SUMMER10, all one word, SUMMER 10, to save 10% off your entire order. And I think that that is probably going to do it. Of course, if you are watching on YouTube, like this video, it really helps us out a huge amount. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already, and click on that notification bell. That way you always know whenever we drop a new video, of course, whenever we go live. Follow us across all of our social media platforms. You know them, you love them. And of course, we will be continuing to give you coverage with this event as we head into Wednesday. Of course, meteorologist Jamie Martin will be back for the fast forecast as we work our way into Hump Day. But then as we head into Wednesday afternoon, this severe weather event likely to take charge. We will have the latest with meteorologist Matt Capucci heading into Wednesday afternoon. So of course, be sure to follow us across our social media platforms, because those updates will start fast and furious as we head into the middle of the day. All right, for Damian and Matt and Jamie and Erica in the back, shout out to the whole team. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and stay dry. We'll catch you back here in the next one. See ya.